1075, The Game Podcasting, is sponsored by Modern Exterminating, a family-oriented company. Professional, honest, and dependable pest control solutions. We're your one-stop shop for all pests.
The first true road game for Shane Beamer's team this fall will be a four-quarter fight and decided in the final moments. Again, that's Brad Crawford's write-up for, CBS Sports. And I think he makes a very good point there, right? This, up until last year, was a Missouri team that South Carolina couldn't beat, at least in the Beamer era. He had some success earlier on, Spurrier and all that kind of stuff. But in recent memory, for whatever reason, they just could not get over the hump of Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers. And that's something that beating them once is great, but you have to consistently beat a team to kind of flip the narrative, right? Because you look at what's happened with Kentucky, where that was viewed as a game, a lot of people like, hey, South Carolina could really lose to Kentucky because it was, such a close thing for several years. And now Carolina's won the past, 3 in a row? Or 3 or 4 in a row, however many it's been now, to where it's kind of gone away. Like, oh, South Carolina's, of course, going to beat Kentucky this year. But you're not there with Missouri yet. You have to consistently beat that team over and over again to kind of kill the idea of, hey, South Carolina always has trouble with Missouri. Because right now that's still very true. And last year, last year's game, it came down to the wire. It wasn't a comfortable walk in the park by any means. They had that game up yesterday again on the SEC network, and Carolina gets out to a lead. Missouri comes storming back. Missouri takes the lead there with about a minute to go, and thankfully, South Carolina drives down the field, and Rocket Sanders has the play of his South Carolina career, taking that screen all the way into the end zone. That for what it's worth, from my opinion, from what I've seen in 3 years here, was the loudest moment I've witnessed in Williams-Brice Stadium so far. And thankfully elevated South Carolina and kept their hopes of the college football playoff alive as that season continued to wear on. But, man, going out to Tacoma, that's tricky. That is a tricky place that's not treated South Carolina well over the years. Not a whole lot of crazy rule changes being made this past off-season for college football. Obviously have the deal with the T-bar and stuff that we've talked about plenty. One thing I was kind of intrigued to see is if they were going to make any tweaks to special teams this offseason, which they chose not to, because the NFL has taken a radically different approach to how things are being done, and they have for several years now. I contend that one of the best decisions or rule changes the NFL ever made was moving the extra point back 15 yards to where it's actually more of a challenge now, and you have kickers that miss extra points, and that drastically alters the outcome of games. I think it's been a phenomenal rule. But one rule they've changed quite a bit these past couple of years is the kickoff rule. Last year, they introduced the dynamic kickoff, and this year they decided to move the touchback up to the 35-yard line where it was at 30 a year ago. As we look ahead to South Carolina's schedule, look, I've held this belief the entire offseason. I'm not going to change my mind now. I think everybody in the SEC is due for at least one loss this upcoming year, if not maybe 2. Of course, Georgia won last year with 2 losses in the SEC, and with how deep this conference is and how many capable teams are in this conference, I don't see anybody navigating through unscathed. I think what Steve Sarkisian said a while back, that he thinks we're done seeing undefeated national champions with how many more games you have to play now and obviously the depth of these conferences and everything like that. But we'll stick with the SEC for now. Our guy Brad Crawford, writing for CBS Sports, put out an article the other day where he's predicting where he thinks the first loss for every SEC team is going to come this upcoming season. And we'll start off with South Carolina, where he says he thinks that could be September 20th on the road at Missouri.